Hey valued viewers, it's Pro Drain and Blocker EDDBUD here, fresh from another pipe pulverizing. Today I've got our 100 mile or 160 kilometer review of the Adidas Adizero Takumi Sen 8. If you did watch my initial review, then get ready for a surprise. Thanks for tuning in, cats, always appreciated. If you've yet to do so, help out the channel by hitting that subscribe button, but also clicking the bell below for notifications when I roll out those new videos for you, just like the Autobots used to do. You can also help us out too by giving this video a thumbs up like and also sharing it with your running buddies. Mucho gracias. This is a shoe that I picked up back in 2021, I think it was December in fact, like an early Christmas present, but I absolutely despised it when I first reviewed it. I think I got it for like 110 Earth credits due to a discount that I had with Adidas. I'd bought loads and loads of stuff from them and they let me have it for that little bit cheaper. I think the actual retail is about 170 Earth credits here in the UK, so just bear that in mind. Okay, let's carry on. I picked it up in a UK size 11 or a US size 11.5. Sometimes in Adidas shoes I need that extra half. I think I did that in the Adios Pro 2, also the original Adios Pro, but Adidas seem to be reverting to a more true to size ethos right now. This bad boy weighs in at 218 grams, which is 7.7 ounces, if you like that sort of thing. I think I've got somewhere in the region of about 35 millimeters of heel stack here in my UK 11 and about 30 in the forefoot, so it's the same scaling as the sample size. I gotta say straight off the bat, I don't regret a single Earth credit that I spent on this shoe. I think my only major gripe really is the retail price, though sports shoes and loads of other retailers have got them at about 135, which I think is a fantastic price for this shoe. I think that retail's just a little bit too close to the Adios Pro 2 retail price, and there's quite a bit more shoe for only £10 extra. Right, onto my 100 mile thoughts, let's do it. We'll start with the upper first. Upper-wise, in training and racing, I've really enjoyed that sleek mesh. Whenever I see this shoe, I think of a panther. A foot-hugging feel and locked-in fit with the Takumi Sen 8. The toe box really is a triumph of flexibility and breathability. The tongue, despite its very thin nature, is spot on and doesn't slip around. The laces, though initially I felt were a bit cheap, do the job. I mean, I don't think anyone really runs along thinking, oh, I wish these laces were a bit better. Well, maybe you do, and if that's your thing, then okay. I haven't felt that they put too much pressure onto the top of the foot whatsoever, and there's no heel slip encountered despite there being no traditional heel counter here in the Sen 8. It really does feel like a premium racing and training shoe to me. One major boon is that it really dries quickly too. The upper doesn't seem to take on an awful lot of moisture whatsoever when used in wet weather. I've had no issues wearing these up to 13.1 miles at half marathon distance. Certainly comfortable, and aside from those, slightly tacky laces, I suppose, I'll give it a 2.9 out of 3 for the upper after 100 big ones. Midsole, midsole, midsole now. This midsole just gets better and better the more and more you use it. Same as the Adios Pro 2 really. The more you grind it down, the more you tenderize it, better and better it feels. It just seems to flex more and more, but not overly so that it doesn't really give you any pop on toe off. The more you use it, the more supple it feels. A bit like a well-thumbed piece of blue tack, a seasoned frying pan, or a well-worn pair of jeans. The midsole, bit of a mystery. I'm still perplexed by its construction. Is it a cup-like design, or is it two segments placed on top of one another? Either way, the Light Strike Pro here for me is a classic design. Every time I've worn the shoe, it just feels exciting. Feels like you want to run quickly. A near perfect blend of rigidity yet flexibility where you need it, stable yet light, guiding in the mid to forefoot yet somehow still feeling natural. Is it those energy rods? Hello energy rods. The Sen 8 simply feels superb at pace for me. No issue with me hitting my 5k speed over at the Weymouth Park Run a little earlier this year. That was in some 17 mile an hour winds as well. When you're talking about paths and concrete pavements, the Takumi Sen midsole simply eats them up like a hungry mongrel. I almost got sub 20 on that 5k back in these. That was still when I was getting back up to speed as well. They also performed really well at the recent Stourhead 10k race. That was on roads, dirt and gravel as well, so it's quite a versatile feeling midsole. I don't think I really gelled with it at first. I think it does need a fair few miles to really get the best out of it, but I think around about 100 miles it's really come into its own as a very controlled yet propulsive 5 to 10k race and training shoe. I think for those who like a midsole with a slightly slimmer surface area, you'll be like a pig in mud. But I think sadly it's not going to work for those runners with wider feet. It is still quite on the narrow side really. Even the exposed midsole foam here seems to be holding up incredibly well. It's as resilient as Indiana Jones inside a fridge in an atomic blast. You know, I smash this stuff into gravel and rocks and it just still looks great. There's no tears, no sign of wear at all. I'll give the midsole after 100 miles a stupendous 3 out of 3 because it's just really, really good. There we go. Outsole now. Very little wear here, especially on the differing pattern in the medial forefoot. In the forefoot lateral side here, that coarse rubber has lost a little bit of its sort of sheen, I suppose. The heel portions as well show similar wear, but I've got to be honest, the traction hasn't changed whatsoever. If anything, it's probably slightly better now. It still remains as grippy as ever, despite the slight change in the texture. As mentioned earlier, the shoe's very capable on concrete and tarmac, as you would expect really from a Adidas road shoe, and it also had great traction in dry and wet conditions. Came out brilliantly on the gravel and the dirt, and there's no real major issues whatsoever. I mean, that's not what you'd expect from a shoe that's aimed for road use only, but I'm telling you now, you can use this on pretty much anything. Maybe not ice. Don't use it on ice, but everything else should be fine. Again, it's hard to fault really this element of the shoe. I think Adidas have nailed it. There's no slight signs of detachment of the rubber at all from that midsole material. I'll give it a very strong 2.9 out of 3. Just lowering it a little bit for that slight change in texture. And let's not forget the rubber's pretty thin. Some people will burn through it really quickly, I should imagine. But for most runners, I think it'll be fine. Value now. So value wise, I mean, my pair at 110 Earth credits is just stupendous, isn't it? Like I said, very often discounted down to about 135 here in the UK. Hopefully you can find something like that over in Europe or Australia or America or Asia. I think the limited wear and the great high performance chops here means I can really recommend this one to you. I think it's worthy of consideration for anybody that doesn't really get on with the high arch or the very compressive nature of the Vaporfly Next Percent. Perhaps if you find that shoe total overkill for the shorter distance events, I think you should give this one a whirl. I think a lot of people pick the Street Fly up and hope that that would do the trick for them. I think there's not enough rigidity there for many people for racing. That's where the Sen 8 comes in. At the retail price, I still think it's a bit pricey. 170 is big moolah. That's heavy dough. Serious spondulix. So as per the Prime X, I'm going to lower the value score a little bit here. If you can pick it up on a discount, then great. Put your own value score up, but certainly way better value than my initial score. Poetry in Motion from Adidas, this one I'll give it a 2.7 out of 3 after 100 miles for value. One of my fave shoes of the last year without a doubt, the Takumi Sen 8. Totaling the scores up, that gives us a 11.5 out of 12 after 100 miles for the Takumi Sen 8 from Adidas. Have you picked this shoe up, guys? What do you make of it? Have you enjoyed it? Has it been total trash and you've got rid of it? Let us know down in the comments. Musical interlude time for you. Kind of makes me feel a bit old when I think of this, but Is This It by The Strokes was released in 2001. Makes me feel really old, like 21 years ago. Can that be right? It's an album I've been listening to once again, and it doesn't age at all, really. It still sounds super fresh. I think that's because the tracks are just so good. The modern age is such a great stomper with those churning guitars. Someday has got that whimsical feel about it. Again, great guitar interplay there. Wonderful bass as well. Everything just merges together, sort of like a really well crafted soup. Everyone knows Last Night. I can remember dancing in indie discos to that like a lunatic until my feet could take no more. I always was a fan of Hard to Explain though, from the first time I heard the track in a HMV in Cardiff. The drums at the start, almost like a drum machine, like sequenced and programmed, and then there's a wild take it or leave it at the end, sort of like a rallying call. Either you can like the stuff or just cast it aside. If you've never heard of this album, go and check it out. You won't be disappointed. Is This It? By The Strokes. Thanks for tuning in, cats. I hope you've enjoyed today's review. Please hit that subscribe button, click the bell below for notifications. Also give this video a thumbs up, like, and share it with your running buddies. My name's EDDBUD, and I'll be seeing you